I can't believe they really did it. Hi, hello everyone, my name is Jer, and if you see me being messy in the comment section, yeah, that sounds about right. Today's drink is a unspecified coffee. Woohoo! Ooh, it tastes like a cigarette. This is apparently 300 milligrams of espresso. I had to put some creamer in that because that tasted like a battlefield. We are at the last challenge before the finale, and I'm really not thrilled that this season is almost over because I have loved it so much. Unrelated, I was showing España 5 to my partner last night, and he was turning it up fiercely to Satine Greco. I think we got him locked in, chat. We are talking about Drag Race UK vs. the World Season 3, Episode 7, where the queens are tasked with the very first makeover of the Versus the World franchise. Unless you count Slasian Royale under that umbrella, which it technically is, but also it's its own thing. Anyways, the devil's in the details. And for the first time in Drag Race history, at least I'm pretty sure it's the first time, they're gonna be making over Olympians. Which is super appropriate because Drag Race touts itself as being the Olympics of drag, so it's time to embrace that even further. The makeover partners were super cute, they were interesting and relatable. I enjoyed seeing how the queens were able to draw out their natural charisma, as well as harness that sportsman-like nature of what drag and specifically Drag Race are so that it was applicable to these makeover contestants. And personally, I don't think anyone did bad. I think there were just shades of better. And so my ranking this week was really tight. Going into this week, I was a little bit nervous because the makeover challenges are factually the most inconsistently judged across any franchise. The look matters until it doesn't. Family resemblance matters until it doesn't. Hairstyles matter until they don't. Are you getting what I'm putting down? Because I can keep going. The script says vamp for time because this is a short one, so I was shocked, amazed, aghast at how hard my mouth was shut though at the lack of meddling that was happening this episode and how fairly everything was judged. And they put Kate in the bottom too. I could not believe it. I was sure that she was gonna wear the worst possible makeover and they would find a way to glaze her and push her to the next episode and be like, nope, no problems detected here. Because there's no way in the world that they were not going to have a UK queen in the finale. It's just not done. Never once in the Versus the World has a queen from the home country not gone to the finale. So since we're talking about old Kathy, let's do my ranking in reverse order. It also works for the flow of the episode a little better. My 5th position unfortunately does go to Kate this week. She walked into this challenge being mindful of the fact that she went home during the makeover challenge of her original season. And that was lingering over her story the entire episode, but she tried to keep this bright spirit and positive energy going forward. She connected with her makeover, at least initially, and then didn't really follow through on what I think a makeover partner would actually want. Now, I gotta say, I have properly perceived Drag U and the Drag U universe very recently for my podcast. Feel free to check that episode out because it was quite funny. But I understand the makeover challenge now better than ever. It's about applying your flow and rhythm and aligning that with your partner so they're not only transformed, but also have that essence that makes you essentially you. And I think Kate tried to swing so hard in the direction of giving the judges what she thought they wanted the first time around that she deviated almost entirely from what the makeover challenge is meant to be. At the top of this week, Kate has to assign some medals to the queens. I really despise these types of mini challenges because they're not meant to uplift anyone. They're meant to stir up drama. They're meant to make people uncomfortable. And I brought this up during the Drag Race Superlatives like 2 weeks ago for my season 18 review. And the UK team in particular loves these little buzzword challenges where they range from things like who is your biggest competitor to who is gonna go home next. And it's all on one person to assign out those roles. Those roles are typically tied to some type of advantage in the challenge or have some correspondence with what they will be doing later. And I feel like the producers set up a trap for Kate to walk into, one that would solidify certain girls' placements in the bottom and would maybe assist her and maybe one other person they were trying to push. Kate has been so hyper aware this season that she probably was realizing, oh, Drag Race UK does this a lot. I'm gonna be smart about how I assign this and maybe not go for the obvious person. And I think she did a great job at subverting that. We'll get into that in a second. It might be a little tinfoil hatty. I personally would have no problem with these types of awards if it was like Silly Goober, Front Runner, Sleeper Hit, where they're more focused on the positive and completely remove the who's skating on thin ice and who's gonna go home next category, because I just don't think that helps anyone in a challenge where you are meant to take all of this lovely energy and infuse that into your partner so that they connect with it. The makeover challenge is the one time in Drag Race where the energy should be at max positivity, because you're bringing folks into your world of drag and you are trying to introduce them to that miracle of drag. But they of course included this skating on thin ice prompt, which I think was mean-spirited. And again, those makeover partners were attached to each one of the medals. There was a number that correlated with them. And here's how I think that it was meant to go from a producer standpoint. Looking at the buzzwords and how production has been sort of treating each one of these queens in their edit, I was anticipating it to kind of go this way. Kate would choose front runner for herself. Every queen theoretically should think that she's the mother T and that she's gonna win, that she's leading the pack. So in theory, she would pick that for herself, and then she would get Greg, who's about the same height as her and would be a super easy partner to play with and make over. Toe curling, the cringiest. I think it could be anybody here, but the way that they've been editing Naomi in particular and the way that they've been showcasing her in the edit makes it seem like they were hoping that maybe Kate would choose her. She would then get Celia, someone who was very out of line with her visually. In theory, she may struggle and land in the bottom and it'd be easy to get her out of there. Shuttlecocky being the one that's most overconfident, I think makes sense for that to be Fontana. The way that the girls treat her very much seems like they think that she's a little delulu. I think that Fontana's the tea. So I don't know. With that medal being attached to Molly, who is so visually similar to Fontana, it makes sense that she was supposed to get that one, because Fontana's an endgame player. She always has been since she walked in the room. There are rumors that they're trying to revamp the Sweden franchise, and having Fontana be here and be a finalist would help kind of soft launch that. So it makes sense from a sort of tinfoil hat theory. Knockout, the personality who makes the biggest impact, makes sense to me that Kate would choose that as Godland, giving her Daniel, who's definitely out of her aesthetic, and it could give her that last minute stumble storyline, the queen who is doing really well up until the second to last episode. They end up in the bottom to send someone home and then win the following week. I think with the way that her story has been building up and the way that this episode started with Godland feeling very sad about not being in the bottom last week, it would sort of give her that bottom redemption that she was looking for, and she would absolutely send home Naomi, who I think they were planning on eliminating anyway. And then skating on thin ice, from a producer standpoint, you would think that would be Mariah. She just landed in the bottom, so it makes sense that everybody else is doing pretty good. And then that would give her Shanae's, who is so much more in line with Mariah's aesthetic. So it'd be an easier pairing for her to sort of get that rug pulled out effect for us as the audience, where it's like, okay, she was just in the bottom and now she is in a high placement because she did so good. And this is all very tinfoil hat theory, but it makes sense with how Drag Race usually conducts itself, that there's a set plan for how they want things to go, so they organize it in a very specific way. Looking at the categories of these medals, you would think initially, okay, Kate will probably choose this person for that buzzword, but Kate, being someone who is thinking very strategically, undercut all of that with her gameplay moves, and I think made the entire room super even with the makeovers. Does all that make sense? So then they create this guise, attach numbers to certain players so that they can make the room be paired up with who they want, but she sort of didn't follow that. In the makeover, her partner, she names Hooker Butch. Ooh, I think that Butch Hooker would have been way more hilarious in camp of a makeover name, but that's just me. The two of them looked like the twins from The Shining became arsonist tradwives. It's all pretty despicable. I have a lot of problems design-wise with these looks. The quilted fabric, I don't think is particularly glamorous, and it's not pushing enough to be campy to me, because the customization of burning it to create this story takes itself a little bit too seriously to be camp. Distressing a garment with fire is very high fashion. So it's like cusping on camp, but then it pulls back too much in how it was designed. And if she was trying to right the wrongs of her last makeover challenge, why is this the direction that she went in? They're both chops for me. I think she was really the only one who did bad in this challenge. In my fourth position is Godland, I guess, and it's sort of by default because I liked everyone just a little bit more. In the top of the week, she's feeling this heavy pressure, some survivor's guilt about not landing in the bottom two last week being the reason why Mariah was there, which I don't agree with that at all. I think Mariah definitely led the team in the way that she did, but Mariah has also dodged a lot of bottom placements where her looks and her presentation were not up to snuff. And I think this was a long overdue bottom placement, and I don't think Godland should feel bad about that at all. Had Kate not fumbled the ball so severely, I think that it was planned for Godland to be in the bottom two. I think that she was supposed to send home someone like Naomi or Mariah, and again have that last minute stumble before the finale, but Kate flubbed it. And who do you choose? The person who's probably gonna win the whole thing, Godland, or your one UK representation left, Kate Butch. They're not gonna eliminate Kate right now because they need her in the finale, even if that would have been Gagaroni. So I think that's why Godland didn't end up in the bottom two, even though it would have tied off her story they already started at the top of the week. Godland's makeover wanted to be called Sandy Cheeks, but then they ended up going with Sandy Goddess. I don't know why they didn't go with Sandyland. Get it? Like Candyland? I'm getting hot and I know it's the espresso. Godland was doing a story about the importance of motherhood in Thai culture, and I like how she wanted to pitch this look. I kind of have a soft spot for the drag makeover looks that are not drag focused. Like, this was a story about Godland and a biological mother, not necessarily about Godland and a drag mother. If it was a drag mother, I think it would have been brilliant to have made this look almost like a Pangina-esque silhouette. If Godland did the Pikachu look, that would have been beyond Mind of a Mastermind. But I digress. I like when the queens don't necessarily rely on a drag story as the vehicle of their makeover. So this I had a soft spot for. I thought it was very sweet and cute. Where it misses the marks for me is a little bit in aesthetics. Like, this is a man. There's a big old man. And I love how beautiful he is as a man, because he really was. And he was a brilliant light. I liked his cultural sensitivity and wanting to make sure that he wasn't offending anyone by dressing in any type of traditional Thai garments. The problem is that these are puff pants, and it's not a huge struggle for a man to wear puffy pants. He doesn't even need to tuck for that. And then he's got this exposed shoulder with a small womanly bun that does no favors for him. Generally, men with larger faces need bigger wigs because you need to frame the face a little more and make it look smaller, proportionize a bit more. I like the story presented. I just think that the scale was all too small for this gentleman, but I appreciate that he was down to clown. It's not a chop, but it's not a slay either. It clocked in. In my third position is the only Naomi. I truly don't believe that she did that bad, because once the white coat came off, Naomi looked incredible, and I think that the makeover looked really good too. I'm very sad that she went home at this point, because Naomi has been consistently doing well since week one and has been criminally underrated by her fellow competitors. They seem to think that she should be out next, that she is not the one who's a threat to them, but I think that Naomi could have at least won a challenge by now. She was slowly getting edged through the entire competition and never got rewarded, and that bums me out. I love the bond that she had with her makeover. I think the two of them worked incredibly well together. I love that her partner was so invested in her success that her nerves coming through on the runway was, I don't want my performance to send Naomi home. And it was very clear that Naomi unlocked something within her that wasn't there before. In my opinion, she was a super generous makeover stylist. She chose a story that had comfort baked into it, so they could quite literally be comforted on the runway. I love this fashion moment of Donatella and Johnny Versace house down boots. And choosing a male character for Naomi was a kind of huge risk because it could have gone catastrophically bad, but Naomi was beat, and I think it had payoff. I think my biggest issue may be that the bangs are a little choppy, like 3 a.m. I'm gonna cut my own hair vibes. It probably already came like that, so there was no way to adjust it, but I'm sure that she could have picked up another wig from that room. What I appreciated visually is that it's cohesive with Naomi's overall strong fashion POV. It's branded incredibly well for her, and the black leather I think was sex on a stick, which I think of with Naomi as a queen. She was super early out in her season, and I think that she made an impact. I think that her run has been spectacular, and I hope that she's proud of herself. Both these looks are slays. And I love that black leather. In my second position is Fontana, and her makeover is Montana, a fantastically hilarious reference to Rue's nickname earlier in the season. Both of them visually were beautiful in Ruby and Sapphire, very much in line with Fontana's overall branding. They were looking like dancers for Pave and Animal Crossing. I love the light choreography the two of them did, and Rue was a little nervous that that wasn't gonna work out, but I think that they both did the damn thing. The scale of these pieces, the volume, the mixed sizes of these gemstones acting like piping, it all works cohesively and perfectly. Top tier slays all around. I don't have a lot more to say because I think she was great. And in my first position is Mariah and her makeover, Amira. Sidebar, I have not seen a man luxuriate in the drag of it all in a minute. And Amira was feeling pussy! When the season started, I thought Mariah was gonna make it to the finale by just her own merit and work, because I think that she did a fantastic job in All Stars 5 and was criminally underlooked by the judges and was constantly getting snubbed. And she's just a brilliant queen, but over the weeks, I kept waiting for the time where she would get eliminated because she was just kind of phoning it in through a lot of this season. I am shocked and amazed that she made it to the finale, blowing this challenge out of the water. I very much enjoyed her conversation about ball culture. I wish we could have seen the edit afford more conversation about this because it's not something that the Rue Judge seasons typically focus on, and I haven't really heard too much about it on Drag Race UK. And highlighting more of this background I think would have been effective for her story. Before the runway, Mariah said something about teamwork makes the butt squirt. Mama, that's diarrhea. On the runway, holy smokes, they both look absolutely incredible. Mariah has never looked this good on Drag Race. I would not have expected her to pop off this severely, I'm gonna be so honest. I wasn't in love with the No Matchy Nude Illusion bodysuit underneath the orange, but that's really my only gripe. There's a reflection of experience in putting herself in the shorter, skimpier bathing suit type presentation, and then having her new daughter as a more refined and regal woman, new on the scene, and will find her sexy as she goes, but not debuting her as a little sex pot. They both look sexy as hell in the orange. I love the silhouettes, they're to die for, and that makeup, bulletproof. Mariah did this smooth and classic look, proof that not every makeover needs to be boisterous and loud. Super duper slays here. And the judges shockingly put Kate in the bottom too, a decision that I was not expecting at all. What I was expecting is for Naomi to be there, and I think that it would have been Godland had it not been Kate. They could have probably still done a Godland and Naomi story, but Kate really missed the mark this week, and I think it would have been a mistake not to punish her for that. But I was still surprised. I wasn't expecting them to even toy with the idea that their only UK queen left could get eliminated. I truly thought that they would find some bogus reason to save her, but this season seems to be intent on proving that it's not just a setup for another UK queen to win. I think they heard the criticism about season 1 and 2. They're trying to right some wrongs here, but let me tell you, if they crown Kate in the finale, there will be riots. They can kiss a UK versus the World season 4 goodbye. Naomi and Kate have to lip sync to a song called Left Outside in the Rain. And I don't want to be hateful here. The vocals to me, out of me, we're giving Wendy Ho. That sort of like flat, no auto-tune effect that Wendy Ho has in all of her music. Like I was listening and waiting for something about getting in the booty butt or something. I was waiting for something about like ate too much Taco Bell and now there's poop. You can't me in my butt tonight. Anyways, Kate was making a lot of comedy faces, which always tickles Rue's Cocomelon brain. I think that worked to her advantage. But in my opinion, I liked Naomi's more serious emotional route to this lip sync. Especially since Naomi's very first lip sync included that crunchy backbend where she fell on her head. This showed a huge growth from that first time around. She's being more aware of her body and what it's doing and how she's presenting. And I think it was a strong redemptive moment for her. Plus, it's cool storyline. First to lip sync and last to lip sync for her life and survive both of them. Sending key players like Melinda Verga and Kate Butch home. That would have been so powerful going into the finale. It paints her as a stronger underdog player. And I think it would have put the finale in a good place that this is not just a sham for a UK queen to win. Completely remove all elements of doubt that it's just a setup. Now, do I think the likelihood of that would ever happen? Absolutely not. I don't think it was a universe where Kate was not going to the finale. Not because Kate is a UK queen and that's the only reason. She is a strong player and she has been, but is she the best player? Next week, it appears that the queens are going to reunionize and then there's going to be a lip sync smackdown as tradition in the Drag Race UK universe. And I personally am so excited to see Melinda back on my screen again. I'm anticipating that they're gonna stack the cards Rue girls versus non-Rue girls. So they'll probably put Mariah and Kate together in a lip sync, give them some type of campy song that Kate can win. And then they're gonna put Fontana and Godland together, get that redemption of that very first lip sync between them, and then Godland will come out on top because I think she's the very obvious front runner and winner this season. She's just got winner energy dripping off of her, in my opinion. And that will ultimately leave Godland and Kate to lip sync to, I'm sure, a Kylie Minogue song. Since that has been tradition, they did Supernova in season 1 and then Your Disco Needs You in season 2. I personally would love something like Second to Midnight or Magic. And if they don't do a Kylie song, then what is even the point? My money is on Godland for taking the crown. I think that she has been the most consistent all season. I think she's got the biggest winner potential. Her makeup, her aesthetics, and her runway package have been on point. She's done great in many challenges. And she's also a brilliant lip syncer. But if they crown Kate over Godland, I'm gonna block Merle Ginsburg. What did y'all think about this episode? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all next week. Thank you to all of my patrons, as well as my Extravaganza Extra members here on YouTube. I will see y'all on the flip. Auf Wiedersehen.